What's going on, everybody? C4 here, and welcome back to today's video. We're going to be recapping and kind of previewing, the end of the draft here for the Philadelphia Eagles, because there is still a chance that we trade back into the later rounds of day number 3, like in round 6 and round 7. But we will kind of highlight some undrafted free agents that could potentially slip that I will definitely want them to get. And that'll definitely be tonight's video to recap once, because, usually probably around 10:30, 11. We will have a nice chunk of players that Philadelphia has brought in as UDFAs. But I'm going to evaluate the two picks that they had today. I'm not going to lie, not very happy at all. And I think I've been critical of the Philadelphia Eagles picks, but ultimately I've had this in how I rose my trust, and I think my grades have been fairly fair. If you watched my stream, or hell, even the video that I put up, my live reaction to the Andr Dillard pick, the tackle from Washington State, I mean, he was, out of all the players available at that point, he was the one I least wanted. And again, the more reflection that I've had, I think it was just my personal bias of the players that were still on the board. I would prefer my team to have them, but the board was a little bit different. Like, would I have been happy with the Dillard pick? And I think yes, because he is a strong pass protector, and it is a forward-thinking move because A, Jason Peters is in his last year, and B, Jason Peters, even though he's going to be here this year, we have seen him struggle staying on the field. And it's a forward-thinking move, and while that's a little bit frustrating to not have that rookie that you want to go and get his jersey right away, and not knowing he's going to make, at least on paper right now, walking into training camp, an immediate impact, I was a little salty, but I ended up giving it a B. Doug Peterson said he's not going to rule out the chance that maybe Dillard can have a chance to compete for guard this year, full on knowing that he's going to be our tackle next year. I think if we can just find a way to get him involved, and if he's a better upgrader than Isaac Seumalo at that left guard spot, this pick's going to be a lot better. Like, I'll tell you right now, if they find a way to have Dillard play guard, which I don't know if he will, I don't think that will necessarily be the plan, but if it does, I'm probably going to change my grade. It's just, a big reason is it's a forward-thinking move, and I don't think our roster is exactly in the perfect spot to kind of go with that luxury. But ultimately, I gave that a B. Then last night, we got two skill position players. First up, we got Miles Sanders, the running back from Penn State. I gave that a B. I thought that is, again, another forward-thinking move. But in terms of the running backs that are available at this time, why not, man? Why not? A guy like Miles Sanders had a huge combine, had the best combine week out of any running back. If you just were trying to judge the running backs off the combine alone, which sounds really, really stupid, you would probably say Miles Sanders is the best running back in this year's draft class. I think when all is said and done, Miles Sanders is a top 5 running back in this year's draft class, and you definitely have to look at the fact that he doesn't have a lot of miles on him as an absolute positive. And then understanding that Jordan Howard is almost certainly a 1-year rental, having next year's potential bell cow, if that's going to go down that way. But he's even just the top dog, the lead dog in our backfield in Miles Sanders. It's a good move because he'll be able to contribute right away. And, a 1A, 1B with Jordan Howard this year. And then next year, he could be the top dog. So that was a B. Then we got J.J. Arcega-Whiteside with our second pick in the second round. Again, I personally would have went maybe Andy Isabella. If wide receiver was the pick there, looking at the board, looking at, who generally went in that round, we have J.J. Arcega-Whiteside's basically a younger version of Alshon Jeffrey. Alshon Jeffrey's about to turn 30, but I don't really think this move is like, oh, maybe we're going to move on from Alshon or anything like that. It's just the style of wide receiver Doug wants on his team. He just wants to dominate teams in the red zone. He wants those big jump ball type guys. And I actually like J.J. Arcega-Whiteside as a prospect. He had his pro day run a 4.49, which is good speed for a guy that's, the 6'2", 220-pound plus wide receiver. So at the end of the day, it's going to be very interesting and very fun to see him out there. But my personal preference is, like I said in yesterday's video, to have a balance. I want a bunch of guys that can play off each other. And the fact that we already have that Alshon guy and Dallas Goedert's going to be on the field more, we have that big possession type receiver. Whereas Deshaun Jackson is going to be nice nostalgia pickup. He's going to bring some speed, but we don't have, his best years are behind him. We don't know how, Deshaun Jackson can very well only be like a 1-year rental. Nelson Aguilar's on a 1-year deal. It's looking like he's not going to come back next year. So we don't have a speed and or cover in the slot. And a guy like Andy Isabella brings that speed. He's like the fastest player in the draft. And he has been, pigeonholed into being a slot wide receiver, which is what he can do. So I think that would have been my pick over Arcega-Whiteside, but I still am happy getting a playmaker like that. So I give it a B-. I think that's a fair grade for my own personal assessment, the fact that we are doubling up on a similar type wide receiver. But still, I'm going to be very excited to see what J.J. Arcega-Whiteside can bring to the team. So then we came into day 3, where I was shocked at this point that Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, my number 1 safety in this draft class, and still a lot of people's number 1 safety in the draft class, was still on the board. That was my dream pick for the Philadelphia Eagles. And what did they do in the 4th round? They didn't trade up. They didn't move up. They stayed there, and I picked 138. Drafted Shareef Miller, defensive end from Penn State. Now, I was going to make a tweet about this. I should have, but my buddies in real life, they actually they went out of their way to make sure they could watch my Andr Dillard reaction. They thought it was hilarious. But we were just talking while we were moving into my house, because that's why, I have been super active on Twitter and stuff, because I've been goddamn moving in. I was like, all right, boys, like C4, who do you want the Eagles to get? And I was like, all right, well, we're trying into day 3. Let's kind of look at who they brought in for visits that are still on the board. These are the guys that they're probably going to be more inclined to select. I said, out of everyone that they brought in for a visit, I think Shareef Miller, the defensive end from Penn State, would be the least likely one that I want. I missed this pick, and then when I looked at my phone and saw they get Shareef Miller, I was like, of course they did. 6'5", 260-pound defensive end. I understand why they're going defensive end, because it looks like Chris Long's not returning. In 2 years at Penn State, last 2 years at Penn State, 26.5 TFLs, 13 sacks. I kind of just viewed him as a limited upside defensive end, and I always thought he might have been better as a 3-4 outside linebacker. And the fact that Joe Jackson from Miami was still on the board, and he actually ended up going to the Dallas Cowboys at pick 165, or maybe even Charles Omenihu from Texas, he ended up going to the Houston Texans at 161. I would have took those guys all day long over Shareef Miller. And, how do I view this as a Philadelphia Eagle pick? Not really an exciting player. I think he's more so just going to be exactly what he's drafted to be, is depth. He's going to be a depth defensive end. I don't think there's a lot of upside there. It's not similar to like Josh Sweat, where Josh Sweat has immense talent. We just need to tap into that, and he has very, very high upside. I think there's limited upside here with Shareef Miller, but he'll be a nice depth rotational player, I guess. And the fact that that's kind of his ceiling, it doesn't make you super excited about this pick, but it's just it's a C+ pick. It's an all right pick. It's not a botched pick. It's not a like what the fuck pick. It's just it's an uninspiring safe pick. And given the fact Joe Jackson and Charles Omenihu, who are much better athletes, have a much higher upside in my opinion, we're still on the board. A little bit frustrating. And then from this pick, I'm going to go into the linebackers. Why aren't we drafting linebackers at this point? And these are guys that went with right after that pick, literally within the next 10, 15 picks, it felt like. Ben Burr-Kirven from Washington. Voshon Joseph went at 147. Mac Wilson from Alabama went at 155. Cam Smith from USC went at 162. I would have been ecstatic with any of those guys with that pick 138. We need linebackers. It's the arrogance of this team that thinks we won the Super Bowl with Donnell Ellerbe and all these guys playing linebacker. We don't need to invest high priority picks. Okay. But invest your day 3 picks. Your linebacking core right now is incredibly fragile. You have Nigel Bradham, who has not lived up to the expectations of his new contract. He wasn't bad, but he definitely didn't have as strong of a year last year as he did 2 years ago. We got Kamu Grugier-Hill. He's a special teamer. He's not bad when he's out there, but ultimately he's still a special teamer until proven otherwise. The dude that we got from the Falcons, I can't remember the linebacker, it was Detroit Lions, tore his Achilles or something like that last year. Again, just can't body. Nate Gary. Oh, no, absolutely not. The linebacking core is incredibly fragile right now. I mean, those guys, Voshon Joseph, Mac Wilson, Cam Smith, all those guys are better than what we have on the roster, excluding Nigel Bradham right now, in my honest opinion. The fact that we went Shareef Miller, where we already have Brandon Graham, we already have Derek Barnett, we already have Josh Sweat, we brought back Vinny Curry. We used a pretty decent UDFA pick last year in Joe Osman from Central Michigan. We have depth at defensive end, and I'm just gonna be completely honest with you. This is a stupid pick. You know what? I'm giving it a C. I'm not gonna even give it a C+. The more I forgot we brought back Vinny Curry just off the top of my head. I'm moving. Okay, I got a lot of stuff on the mind. That's a C. This is a C pick. We needed linebackers. This is not a reach for a linebacker sitting there in the 4th round. There's still really good talent, really good value in the 4th round, and this is a wasted pick. And then going into the 5th round at pick 167, as of right now, our final pick on the day, they drafted Clayton Thorson, quarterback from Northwestern. In my opinion, incredibly overrated quarterback prospect. He is your height, weight, speed-ish guy at the quarterback spot. He looks like the prototypical quarterback. He's not as bad as Christian Hackenberg, but that aura that Hackenberg brought of he has everything that a good quarterback has, it just hasn't really worked out. Let's blame it on the players around him. That's exactly what Clayton Thorson is bringing in. 58% career completion percentage, 10,000 passing yards, 61 touchdowns to 45 picks. He's a prototype for what Doug Peterson wants in a quarterback. You know, Carson Wentz, Nate Sudfeld, all, 6'5", 6'6", which is what Thorson is. He's going to be the third quarterback. 2020 could be the top depth if they move on for Nate Sudfeld. That's the only way I can kind of comprehend this pick being made, is that they know that they're not going to be able to retain Sudfeld for next year, and they're getting the guy that could be on a cheap rookie contract, which I guess it kind of makes sense. Get that young, cheap guy. But, with Brett Rippon, Tyree Jackson still on the board, he's not even the best QB. I would have gone with me not even wanting to pick a quarterback in this year's draft class. Like Kyle Shermer from Vanderbilt's probably going to go undrafted. Still that prototypical Doug Peterson quarterback. And we could have got a linebacker or something here at this pick, man. But Tyree Jackson's still there. I would actually be a little bit optimistic if we got Tyree Jackson, because he has a very, very high ceiling. Dumb pick, man. Dumb. Like, this pick's D. This is a D. This is a terrible selection for the Philadelphia Eagles right now. Coming next year in 2020, trying to stay in that mindset of forward-thinking picks. If we can move on from Nate Sudfeld, which will free up definitely a little bit of salary money, because, some team will probably want to bring him in. I can actually see Nate Sudfeld being slightly below, but similarly used, like Mike Glennon. Remember, Mike Glennon wasn't really brought in to be a starter, but kind of was to a lesser extent. He's not going to get the big contract that Mike Glennon got a couple years ago from the Bears, but similar stuff. I think if Sudfeld hits the open market, he'll go to a team that might have an open QB competition, which means Philly's not going to be able to retain him. But it's not even the best QB on the board, man. It's just a stupid fucking pick. Hate both these picks. C for Shareef Miller, D for Clayton Thorson. Looking at the board, I would have gone any of these players I'm going to mention over probably both of these players, to be completely honest with you. And this is kind of how we're going to finish the video of prospects that are still available as of me recording this, which, as of me recording this, they are just almost halfway through the 6th round. So at wide receiver, we got Emmanuel Hall from Missouri, Keelan Doss from UC Davis, slot guy. Like, we still need to identify a slot wide receiver, I think, to get cover for Nelson Aguilar. So Stanley Morgan, Anthony Johnson from Buffalo, any of those guys, if we trade back in or UDFA, they'd be my top priority there. Offensive line, you got Alex Byers from Notre Dame, Bo Benchwale from Wisconsin. Defensive line, Isaiah Buggs from Alabama, Gerald Willis from Miami. At linebacker, we desperately need a linebacker. Terrell Hanks from New Mexico State, TJ Edwards from Wisconsin. I like either one of those guys. And actually will be pretty happy if we get either one of those guys as a UDFA, but I think they will get drafted. Cornerback, maybe Mark Fields from Clemson. Great athlete. I think we can always add more speed to our secondary. And then the safety spot, Jaquan Johnson from the Miami Hurricanes is still on the board. He'd actually be a really nice pickup, I think, if he does slip. Or Evan Worthington from Colorado, long, rangy type player. But still very, very surprised that we didn't add at least a linebacker, if not going linebacker and safety. Again, man, like, just imagine if I was bringing you back to this video and I was like, instead of at pick 138 in the 4th round of Shareef Miller, I'm saying, all right, Philadelphia at 138 selected, Mac Wilson, linebacker from Alabama. Everyone's gonna be pumped. And then the 5th round at 167, give me literally any other guys. Anthony Johnson, wide receiver from Buffalo. There's your Nelson Aguilar replacement. Jaquan Johnson at safety. He can come in and be that third safety for the future, understanding that the position is pretty unclear going forward. Sendejo's on a 1-year rental. Rodney McLeod's roughly on a 1-year rental. Not happy with these picks, boys, at all. Let me know what you guys think about these picks in the comments. Like I said, I will have probably a recap. Hopefully, by the time I'm finished, at least today, moving in the house, we're not going to be finished the whole project, the whole move tonight. We can have some positive picks, some guys that I can get excited about as undrafted free agents, because Philly's had some pretty good UDFAs. It feels like every year, at least one of our undrafted free agents, at least in the Joe Douglas era, has made the roster and has had some sort of impact throughout that rookie year. So it is an important spot for Philly, and I think UDFAs realize that they have opportunities in Philadelphia, maybe more so in other franchises, because of the track record of success of like Corey Clement and Josh Adams. So let me know what you guys feel about these picks. Am I being overly critical? I don't think. I think most Eagle fans, from what I can tell, the limited amount of time I've been on Twitter today, that you guys aren't happy with these picks. I'm not at all. But at the end of the day, we got to trust Howie Roseman. We got to trust Joe Douglas. And fly, Eagles, fly. Subscribe if you're new. And until next time, I'll catch you guys later tonight with some UDFA talk. Peace out.